Hey everyone, it's Cory McCarthy, and welcome to another public Q&A. This is actually the first one in a few weeks because there was an issue that I had last time where I couldn't make the Q&A. Let me get to the page where the questions appear. Got to turn off the noise, otherwise it's going to bother everyone. Actually, I got some earphones on. It might not bother everyone. But let me roll back. So yeah, this is the first, people are beginning to roll in now. This is the first public Q&A in a few weeks because I had to take the last one. I had to cancel the last one. Sometimes shit happens. So, but I have my earphones in because there might be people who might call in and I don't want to have an echo happening. In case you're not aware, I have a Patreon option where you can subscribe to my Patreon channel and you can actually call in voice-wise to the Q&A. It's offered to particular patrons. So for those who aren't aware, you might want to check that out. I hope you guys can hear me all right. Yeah. Okay. So let me get started with the questions here. Hello, Cory. Have you tried out Kasha yet? No, I haven't. I haven't even found Kasha. It's not. I was actually mistaking Kasha for Kashi, which I think is just a brand or something. Which I also don't really eat, but I think I was mistaking the two, but they don't have it at my local supermarket, so I haven't tried it. What was my reaction to CNN's cuckolding video? I don't think I've seen it. I've seen some articles recently where they were trying to like use science to like, make it sound like cuckolding is a good thing. And I'm sorry, but there's so many things wrong with that. I should just do a video on that, but there's so many things wrong with that. And really, in short, it's a sign of the times. Hey, Cory, I love your stuff. Thanks for the regular Q&As. What's your thoughts on mycoprotein, like a corn range of foods, which is popular? Is there any research on it? I've never actually tried corn, to my knowledge, unless it's been in something that I've had that I just didn't pay attention to the ingredients at a vegan restaurant or something. I've never tried corn, so I can't really comment. I don't really know a lot about mycoprotein. Isn't it based on a fungus or something? To be able to give you much feedback on that, but it's something I guess I could look into. I was under the impression some of corn's products weren't vegan though. Like they weren't entirely vegan. They had some ingredient in them, be it whey or something that wasn't vegan or something. Are pistol squats good for quads? I mean, any number of squats are good for quads. The point is you want to use progressive, whatever you do. Even if you're, doing, for instance, what's it called? Goblet squats. Goblet squats are good for quads. Any of these will work, but you got to make sure you're getting enough volume, you're using enough weight, and you're at least cumulative, the weight, the overall stress you're putting on the muscle. And but volume is important, frequency is important, and you want to make sure that you're progressing strength-wise. So let's say you're doing something body weight, and you are getting to the point where you're hitting like 50 reps easy on a given set. You might want to begin adding weight because it's going to come to a point where you're not really going to progress with it the way you want to. It will stall out. Let me scroll back up so I missed some questions here. Does she legit increase testosterone? I'm going to put this out there. Every herbal product that might increase testosterone, and there is some research to show that some of these products might, understand that it's not going to be such an increase that you're really going to notice any kind of steroid-like benefits from them. In other words, you can't just take a product like, I don't know, Tomcat Alley, assuming that it accurately boosts testosterone because the research is mixed, and just take that product and suddenly get the gains of Phil Heath, for instance, Mr. Olympia. It's just not going to work that way. At most, you might boost it a little bit a little higher into the normal range, but it's not going to go past that. So you're not going to see steroid-like gains. I think what the research showed, and I've discussed this in videos before, you have to be at least 30% over normal healthy range to begin to see steroid-like effects. So a good 30% over that normal range, the top end of the normal range. So do you think vegans should supplement with K2 and taurine? You can get K2 from foods like natto, and K1 can convert to K2, and the body can produce taurine. just not the same way that you're going to get it from meat. But we aren't like, you know, cats and dogs, which require taurine in our from our diet. Humans don't require taurine in their diet. And the body can produce what it needs. For instance, but cats and dogs, they don't produce taurine, from what I understand. So this is why vegan cat and dog foods have supplemental taurine in it. So I hope that answers your question. I don't think you have to. If for some reason supplements are really there in case you find maybe you have a specific condition that requires you to do something, that you need a little more of something, then you can consider supplements for those. When it comes to vitamins, like for instance, if you're just not getting zinc from your diet, I mean, you should be, but if you're just not, or for whatever reason you can't process it, maybe supplementing zinc might help, because that can not boost testosterone, but optimize it. Low zinc levels have been associated with low testosterone levels. That's just an example. Hey man, do you think there's a way that you could get enough protein on a raw vegan diet without eating like 5,000 calories? I don't like raw vegan diets. I mean, you probably could do it. You're gonna eat a hell of a lot of nuts and shit, you know, and seeds and I guess, yeah, that sort of thing. I don't even know what else. You know, it's in vegetables and fruit too, but you're going to eat a hell of a lot. You probably are going to top out around 5,000 calories. I don't think it's impossible for like somebody who's just trying to hit their baseline for health. But if you're somebody who's looking to lift, if you're an athlete, I would not advise a raw diet. And the research on raw diets is it shows that mixed diets are superior. So a diet where there's cooking and there's some foods that are raw is superior to a raw diet. So the science doesn't even support raw diets. How do I feel about reverse pyramid training? I've done it and I like it. It's worked well. Hitting up those heavy. Sometimes I feel like that if you're hitting up the lighter sets first, you sort of tax yourself out a bit. So when you get to that heavier set, you might not be able to quite max out. Martin Burkhan likes reverse pyramid training. You know, I know Kinobody uses it, but he took the idea from Martin Burkhan. He stole a lot of ideas from Martin Burkhan, in my opinion. A lot of what he's doing is not unique. It's been done before in lean gains. But reverse pyramid training, for instance, is where you hit your heaviest set first, for those who don't know, and then you work your lighter. So look, for instance, if your first set's like 3 reps, if you're going for a 3 RM, your next set might be 6 reps, and your next set might be 8 reps. That would be reverse pyramid training. And, you know, you're stronger on that first set naturally. So you would be able to hit that max harder and potentially beat it easier than you would if you were worn out from 2, 3, 4 previous sets. But, you know, different people find different things work for them. So, you know, but I do like it. If I'm maxing on every working set, I do like using reverse pyramid training. Hey, Cory, what are your thoughts on, oh shit, this moved really quick. What are your thoughts on sprouting grains and legumes and seeds? I mean, it's good that they can reduce some of the anti-nutrient content, but the research on anti-nutrients has been, and I discussed this in the channel a long time ago, it's not all that bad, I guess. I mean, what little bit that it might do to the protein uptake, bioavailability, for instance, in trypsin inhibitors, what little effect it might have on those is so minute that if you're getting enough protein per day from multiple sources, you're not really gonna have to worry about it. And this is why I tell vegans to consume about 10% more protein than the upper recommendation, so around 1 gram per pound of body weight, to make it simpler for you guys to think about, is because there might be foods like wheat gluten that have a lower PD-CAA score than something like soy would. So in a case of like that, you know, to account for those lower bioavailable protein sources, you know, eat a variety of foods and have a little more protein per day, just 10%. It's not all that much. You know, that might be 15 grams for, you know, your average bodybuilder, extra protein a day. You know, throw that in a protein shake if you want to, just like a half a scoop of protein powder and you're covered. Hey, have I got a pet? If not, would you like one? I do not have any pets at the moment. I had raised birds. I rescued some birds too. And I've raised birds in the past. I've had birds born in my care. Those are the most recent pets I've had. I've had finches, budgerigars, cockatiels, that sort of thing. And I've raised them and cared for them and hand reared some of them actually that were born in my care. But I haven't had them for a long time. I mean, I love taking care of animals, but I'm not going to go to a pet store and just purchase a pet. I mean, I might adopt or something, like if there's a cat or dog adoption and I have the space for it, I would do so. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Let's see here. Is cooking on aluminum pans unhealthy due to chemicals they have? I'm gonna have to remain mum on that because I don't have an answer for you, to be honest. I think my pans are, I don't know, they might be aluminum. I don't know. I'll have to research that. It's the same thing. People keep asking about microwave ovens. There might be research to show that it's not great, but I'd have to really look into it. Then again, I don't really use microwave ovens all too often. I have one, but I use it as a timer for the most part. Let's see here. Does having higher natural testosterone levels make you behave more manly? Yeah, I mean, it is higher testosterone, and I discussed this in my video, The Death of the Alpha Male, and I believe I've discussed it since then as well. Higher testosterone levels are associated with greater risk-taking. They're associated with greater competitiveness, overall competitive attitude, aggression, and not necessarily bad kind of aggression, but going after your goals, like attacking your goals with fervor can be a sign of testosterone, high testosterone. Dominance, self-reliance, these are all signs of higher testosterone. So yes, having higher testosterone chemically will make you more of a man. It definitely will. And one of the reasons I think we're seeing such a decline in masculine attitudes today is because there has been like a 1% drop in testosterone since 1987. So it's the last like 31 years, men have been losing testosterone on average by 1%. Your average guy today is about 31% less of a man than a dude was in 1987. Believe it or not, because I didn't think the 80s represented masculinity either. And again, you did have a lot of big ass action stars back then, like Arnold, Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren. But you know, that is the case. So yeah, higher testosterone is going to make you, I hate to use it, but more alpha, I suppose. It's gonna give you more of what would be considered alpha traits. Yes. So you know, I'm not saying take steroids. Lift weights, eat healthy, get plenty of sleep, manage your stress. These are make sure you're getting enough dietary fat. So, but I can label it under eat healthy. Those are ways that you can help accentuate and optimize your natural testosterone levels and be healthful. The same way you try to prevent heart disease or cancer by avoiding particular activities and foods and doing certain things that will help you in that department is the same way you can look at testosterone health. Doing certain things and refraining from certain things that are going to help you improve your testosterone levels. You don't need drugs for that. Now, if you are clinically deficient, you probably should consider getting drugs for that. So, you know, don't avoid medicine either if you absolutely need it. So as everyone knows here, I'm a proponent of testosterone replacement therapy if you need it, you know. So what are some foods that increase testosterone? Well, I mean, any food that's going to have a slightly higher fat content will help toward a healthier testosterone conducive meal plan. It's not because fat itself necessarily boosts tests, but it is a raw material in building testosterone and other hormones in your body. So avocados, for vegans that is, avocados, peanut butter, coconut oil, and then if you want to cook a little something in coconut oil, those are some good food sources or sources that could help you build testosterone. Nuts and seeds will help. Carbohydrates, going too low in carbohydrates can reduce your cortisol, can increase your cortisol levels, which can in turn reduce your testosterone levels. So ensuring you're getting enough dietary carbohydrates per day for your activity levels, your needs, that can help. Those are the ways to look at to boost your testosterone through foods. Those are, you know, I don't know if protein has a direct effect on testosterone, but you need protein for other things too. So don't skimp on protein. But fat and carbs do play their specific roles. Fat as a raw material and carbs as a way to counteract the negative effects of cortisol. Chandler says, bro, I love your channel. Man, I'm a right-wing vegan with my own brand and fitness channel. How can I grow it? I wouldn't say my channel is all that big. So I'm going to give you the advice I have to where I've gotten. I guess it's just be consistent, be yourself. Don't copy somebody else. Like my channel's not copying Jon Venus. My channel's not copying Brian Turner or Richard Vegan Gains. You know, I do things because I feel like doing them. Yes, I've taken inspiration from people like Athlean X, like in title conventions, for instance, before. Or when I'm responding to Paul Joseph Watson, I'll use his title conventions because it attracts views. It also has a sort of like a kind of a little bit of a jab there to the person I'm responding to. But beyond that, really just be yourself, be consistent. Don't be afraid to do a little bit of drama, but don't, unless you want to make drama your entire thing. Understand drama does get attention. People will watch dramatic videos. People will request dramatic videos. But I wouldn't overly focus on that either because I don't know. That's just my opinion. But it's more important you be yourself and you be consistent. Don't quit. Don't give up. Give good information. Be consistent with your information too. And really, those are some of the best advices I can give you on becoming better at YouTube. For what it's worth, from a guy who has less than 20,000 subscribers. So, but really, I guess enjoy it. If you're not yourself, if maybe you're not enjoying it. So this is why you should be true to yourself. Enjoy the things you talk about, enjoy the things you share, and look at it as an opportunity to share with people, and not as a chance for fame or things like that. Because if you're going into something with that kind of mentality, like I want to be famous, understand that the likelihood of your channel becoming, huge, like, just millions of subscribers or even hundreds of thousands is relatively low. It is relatively low. It's difficult to get to that level. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Don't go into YouTube for fame or fortune because, man, YouTube doesn't make you a whole hell of a lot of money. I'm just going to be real there. It's pocket change. It's pocket change for the time that people put into it. Anyway, moving along. Cory, you said that you rely on too much protein shakes. Don't think anti-vegans will use that against. I don't rely. I never said that I rely too much on protein shakes. That's out of context. I rely on protein shakes during keto dieting because it's difficult to get all of your protein needs met without going over in carbohydrates on a keto diet as a vegan. So yes, I will use more protein shakes on a keto diet. But if you watch my recent video, as in recent yesterday video, my day of eating video, you'll see that I have one shake during the day. And that's because I take my, a shake post workout. And if I'm not working out that day, I'll just have that, scoop of protein powder as a snack in the early evening with some bananas. So I don't think I heavily rely on protein powders. And in fact, I've had diets before where I've had no protein shakes. I just find them convenient. And sometimes they're tasty, so I do use them. It is a supplement, and it has its uses. It doesn't mean it's a requirement. With keto, though, it's kind of a requirement because to hit those protein numbers as a keto lifter, yeah, and not go over in carbs is difficult. I hope you find kasha and try it out. There are some other Slavic foods suited for a vegan diet. Yeah, I'd love to find it if it's that good. You keep mentioning it, so I am curious about it. Hey, buddy, are there any truths to eating specific macros for your body type? For example, endomorphs, limiting carbs, and focusing on protein, fat for sustainable weight loss. The whole somatotyping thing, I mean, I use it myself sometimes just to elaborate on a point, but it's not exactly accurate. Somatotyping is where somebody is falling into a category of endo, meso, ecto, but you have to understand that some people fall into mixed categories. Like there are people who they gain fat like an endomorph, but they have trouble gaining muscle, so they're more like an ectomorph in that regard. And those are two opposite ends of the spectrum. It would make more sense to see a meso-endo or a meso-ecto than an ecto-endo. This is why I don't care for somatotyping. But there are people, yes, who respond better genetically or medically to higher fat or lower fat or higher carbs or lower carbs or whatever. You do have to juggle what works for you. And for instance, in my ebooks, including my latest ebook that I just released, you guys, it's linked below. the macronutrient and calorie recommendations and everything have a range that you can work them in. So you can find what works best for you by plugging in, trying the lower end to the upper end of that range, the recommended range, and go with that and see how that works for you and find your sweet spot, basically. What music do I listen to when I'm working out? Typically like metal, hard rock, sometimes industrial or electronic, but typically it's metal or hard rock. Mostly like symphonic and goth type metal. You know, I mentioned before bands like Camelot, bands like Riverside from Poland, Porcupine Tree, Serenia, things like that. Sometimes Dream Theater, but I'm not really a lot into Dream Theater. Nightwish, things like that. I'll listen to a lot of when I'm lifting, as opposed to, you know, the crap they blast in the damn gym, really shitty stuff like Katy Perry. Any advice for kidney stones? Well, I mean, are you talking about preventing kidney stones or how to get rid of them? Getting rid of them, time, unfortunately. Unless they're really bad, they're not going to do surgery on you. You're going to have to lay in a hospital until you piss them out, and apparently it's pretty painful, depending how big they are. Because you know, you're I don't know how it is for girls, but for guys, you're pissing out a stone through a small duct. So I've never had them, but I imagine that's pretty fucking bad. Avoiding kidney stones, my advice would be to drink plenty of water, stay hydrated, perhaps throw in things like cranberries, because apparently cranberries can help with kidney health, and bladder health and things like that. So perhaps cranberry juice or cranberry sauce, whatever, and drink plenty of water. That's my advice. You know, if some people are genetically prone to getting them. You know, it's just how it is. Your thoughts on periodizing workouts? I mean, periodization has been shown in research to be non-linear. Actually, has been shown in studies in meta-analysis to be superior to linear, especially in advanced lifters. I believe it was in advanced lifters. Non-linear is superior. Now, in beginners, pretty much everything is going to work as long as you're consistent, you're making progress, and you're eating right. Pretty much everything is going to work. You know, you don't have to get, you know, really fancy with the periodization of your routines. You know, really just try to get good at your big movements for beginners. That's it in a nutshell. Yeah, I mean, if you'd like to periodize, great. Yeah, a lot of great programs periodize their workouts. Actually, I use periodization in Beast Mode by Science. That's got the whole routine is periodized. Cory, it's official. Cold showers do raise testosterone and increase sperm count. So stop being a beta. Stop taking a warm shower and start taking cold showers. I never said I didn't take cold showers. I just said that I haven't seen the research to prove that they do. That's all I'm saying. Like, I hear that they do, but I haven't actually looked into the research that actually proves in a controlled manner that they do. And if they do, is it all that significant? You know, if cold showers boost testosterone by 20%, that might seem like a big number, but it's not going to put you into steroid-like range. So in other words, if you're some dude who's got normal, healthy testosterone levels, you're not on steroids, you go into a shower and you start taking cold showers thinking you're going to look like Mike O'Hearn, it's not going to happen. So just keep that in mind. You could improve fat loss because cold temperatures have been shown to increase brown fat stores. And I've done videos on this like 3 years ago or 4 years ago at this point or something like that. I talked about how cold environments can increase brown fat stores. But yeah, I mean, so you might also burn more fat with cold showers too. But I have to look into the testosterone effects and how significant they are. Thoughts on people saying soy causes cancer-causing compounds? I think they're getting that from, because the American Cancer Society recommends soy. It even says it's fine for women who have had breast cancer in the past. So I don't know where they're getting that. The only place I could assume is because soy has high IGF. It raises IGF-1 because it's got high leucine content. But that can be said of any food that has a high leucine content. That can be said of, you know, any meat product, dairy product. They have high leucine content. Now, I've discussed this before. Do you have to really worry about soy raising IGF-1 to a point where you'll get cancer? the research doesn't appear to say so. The reason being is, think about this. If you could just eat a food or do a lift that will boost your hormone levels to a point where you're going to be able to get steroid-like gains, and IGF-1 is an incredibly potent hormone. A lot of lifters will pay top dollar for IGF-1 to make gains. So if you're going to, if you can just like fucking eat tofu to boost your IGF-1, or drink whey in the case of most bodybuilders to boost their IGF-1, you'd think that you'd see this. Why would they waste money on IGF-1? The thing is that natural compounds, even lifting, will boost your hormones temporarily. So they've done this with squats, for instance, where growth hormone goes up like 2,000% versus leg press, and testosterone's like 600% or something ridiculous. But within like 30 to 120 minutes, between that range, it drops back down to baseline. So 2 hours after your lifting session, when you had supremely boosted your testosterone levels from squatting, you're back to baseline again, just in 2 hours. It's not sustained. Now, where you have to worry about the effects of boost hormones, good or bad, would be if you're sustaining those levels, like you're injecting something exogenously, so you're routinely and continuously sustained. And that's, how steroids work as well, because it keeps you boosted above normal levels for long periods of time. And this is the same way because doing heavy squats is not going to give you steroid-like results. You'll grow, but you're not going to get steroid-like results. And that's because it's not going to boost you for that long to cause any kind of real effect. And that's something I try to make clear to people. It's a transient thing. It will return to baseline. You'd probably have to be knocking back profuse amounts of soy every 30 minutes to try to keep those levels spiked as much as possible. And that would be a task in and of itself to have a risk of cancer, from what I understand. And you also have to look at rodent versus human research too. And a lot of the research on cancer-causing compounds from soy is usually on rodents. And even the Cancer Society brought that up. Moving along. Would you rather have the U.S. secure its borders or have it all Americans go vegan? Look, why not have both? These either-or situations are absurd. I look at veganism and taking care of one's country and nationalism to be both. They're things you can do at the same time, and they're both very, very healthy and very viable, in my opinion. So I don't see why it has to be an either-or situation. That's why I don't understand at the same time right-wingers are saying, oh, you're a vegan, you can't be a nationalist. It's like, fuck off. I can. Where does it say you can't? Do I still remember the last time I ate meat? I don't remember what the meal was. It would have been in 2002. The last time I had meat. It was probably like a Subway sandwich or something, because I was at that point in time I was so busy with my schedule with school that I was getting a lot of deli sandwiches and crap for dinner really quick. So it was probably something like a Subway sandwich of some kind, or some kind of a deli sandwich. I don't know. It's been too damn long to tell you what it was, but it was sometime in 2002. It might have been Chinese food, for fuck, if I remember. I'm guessing, because I had a lot of Chinese food back then too. So it could have been either one. I don't know. What's your view on air fryers in regards to cooking? I don't really have an opinion on that. I don't really know much about how air fryers work. Thanks so much for the answer. I've been experimenting with raw vegan lifestyle. Daily, I have 20 bananas, 4 ounces of flax and chia, 10 pounds of greens. I feel healthy, but it's tiring way to eat. Yeah, it's bulky as shit. So I definitely wouldn't recommend it for an athlete who has to have a higher amount of calories in their diet. Do I still take Diva supplements? Where can I buy them? I get my Diva. I do take them. I use a Diva multivitamin. I use Source Naturals for my vegan DHA. Let me see. I've got it in this cabinet here. I use Doctor's Best. My vegan D3 is a Doctor's Best product. So is my K2 when I take K2. I use a lot of Now products. I use some Swanson products. I just look for it to have a vegan label and have, obviously veggie caps. I have my Diva multivitamin here, but it's under a bar of dark chocolate, so I'm not going to bother pulling it out right now. I might make things fall over. So yeah, I do use some Diva products. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them on eBay. You'll find better deals on things like eBay and Amazon. You can get unopened bottles of Diva products on eBay for like half the price that you'd pay retail for it. eBay is a great source for getting good deals on things. If you know what you need, know what you want, and you can get it sealed and new. In the case of supplements. I've tried intermittent fasting, 8-hour feeding window, and working out while fasting during this week. It feels great. I just take EAAs, creatine, and caffeine before working out. Yeah, I train fasted too. I drink coffee every morning as it is to begin with. It's a good appetite suppressant, and it's got anti-cancer effects. So I do drink coffee just for the health benefits. Not really for performance so much, because I don't really get a kick from caffeine. So it doesn't really affect me in that way. But I do take, if I'm going to train fasted, and I mean by 8 hours or more, since my last meal, I will take BCAAs, because numerous studies have shown, and I've talked about this on the channel before, that using BCAAs prior to a workout, if you're fasted, can help prevent muscle damage. So that any negative effects of lifting on an empty stomach are mitigated by BCAAs. And I think it's like 5 or 10 grams. I just throw a couple teaspoons into some water, mix it up, and down that before a fasted workout. And then I have immediately a protein shake afterwards, just to prevent any muscle damage. Do amino acids break the fast? No. From what I understand, no, they don't. Now, if you're eating a protein-based meal, you probably would. I don't even think like a half a scoop of protein powder would break the fast, to be honest, from what I understand. But you're better off just using some BCAAs, some amino acids. Carbohydrates would break the fast. Even a light meal would break the fast. A glass of like soy milk might even break the fast. So you want to stick with BCAAs or something, like just some amino acids and herbs. Is eating a whole bag of grapes considered too much sugar for an entire day? No, I mean, the sugar in fruit is not the same as eating candy. So, I'd make it fit your macros, whatever your macros are for your particular goals, make the fruit you eat fit your carbohydrate totals. But I wouldn't worry about it, causing negative effects on testosterone, like slamming dextrose would and has been shown to do, or eating candy or going diabetic from it. Keep in mind the fiber content. There's a lot of water content in fruit. These other nutrients and properties that are in the fruit will affect the absorption of the sugars that are in the fruit. So it's not the same as eating like processed junk. So I really wouldn't worry too much about it. In fact, you probably could hyperload on fruit and not get diabetes. Now, there might be some weird cases of people who could, genetic cases, but I don't think your average person is going to get diabetes from eating bananas or apples. Let's just be real here. Let's see here. What is the best form of exercise for health and longevity? Strength training versus cardio? Both. Strength training has been found to reduce your risk of cancer by 60%. It also can make you, they've also done research, and I've done a video on this as well, where the more muscle you carry, the longer your lifespan. They actually did a study where they had people various weights of musculature, from hardly any muscle to a lot of muscle, to a max amount of muscle, men and women, and they followed them from middle age to senior years, and they tracked their mortality rates. And they found that there was a correlation. There was a direct across the board correlation. It didn't waver for people who had the more muscle they carried, the longer they lived. And also the more muscle you carry. I mentioned this before, weight training does beat cancer, helps fight cancer. So a lower mortality rate, higher rate of fighting cancer, all from strength training. Not to mention that it can be good for your heart too. It's healthy for your bones, so you have a better quality of life. It's healthy for your hormones. Strength training is just good for you. It's good for you. As long as you don't beat yourself up with it, destroy your CNS with it and cause yourself to overtrain. It's good for you. Be smart about it, but it's good for you. Cardio is also good for you. It's good for your heart. So I don't see why you shouldn't do both. They both have a lot of benefits, and they have more benefits together than apart. Um, let's see here. Somebody says, well, this thing's moving too damn fast. I think Corey says, Corey, I think if you do rapid style answering, it might be better instead of getting super comprehensive answers. I try, but sometimes the answer has to be comprehensive. Let's see here. Samoan people gain fat and muscle much easier than your average man, but they're very prone to obesity. Different people, different genetics. Anybody who thinks that different races and different groups of people don't have genetic variance is fooling themselves. Like, this stuff is fucking well documented. It's very well documented. You know, that different people are just different. That's just how it is. I can't believe this is even a fucking thing. But yeah, I've known a lot of Samoans that are fucking huge, just jacked as fuck. Let's see here. Baldness, science explained correlation to training and hair loss. If it's my understanding, I don't really know a lot about this topic, but it's my understanding that higher DHT levels put you at risk for a side effect of hair loss. Some steroids can cause that. I mean, if you're genetically prone to it, they really can. You know, there are, you know, some people just, the more their body produces testosterone, they have a higher genetic conversion rate to DHT, which can lead to baldness. So yeah, I mean, and it's the same thing with beard growth. You know, there are guys who grow bigger, fuller beards easier. These men tend to have higher DHT levels. So and the trade-off to that is oftentimes a greater risk of balding. You know, it's not ironic. You can grow a lot of hair here, but you'll bald easier on the top of your head. It has nothing to do with your testosterone levels. It has to do with your conversion rate to DHT. Balding is associated with a higher conversion rate to DHT. So that's the explanation for balding as far as I understand it. Let's see here. Moving down. I've heard that IF only works for people who effectively produce ghrelin in sufficient quantity. Thoughts on this? I've not heard that. They've done some studies on IF for lifters, that is, and they did a relatively large lean gain study using Martin Burkhan's model and compared it to a standard Western bodybuilding diet, and it actually looked to be superior. You know, in its results, it came out to be superior, and that was with a matched training routine. They all have the same training routine. So, you know, was it a perfect study? No, but it was a pretty damn good study. It's hard to make a perfect study. Let's see here. Yeah, I already answered that question. Move down. Off topic. What are my views on immigration? I think that countries should have controlled borders. I think that you should incentivize immigration that's merit-based. I think Trump is going to plan to do something like that from what I've heard. You know, you don't just let any old motherfucker in on some goddamn lottery. Instead, somebody might have a fucking, you know, something they can really offer the country. Like they're a fucking outstanding engineer or a scientist or a heart surgeon or something. And they're going to actually add value to the country. This is not even getting into race or anything else or national, you know, Euro nationalism or things like that. This is just getting into the bare bones of what I think would be smart immigration. You know, that's my opinions on that. Now I hold different stance. I hold a very specific stance on European immigration. I hold a very Japanese style view for Europe, ethno-nationalistic view for European immigration. It's just widely known. No, it's not a shock to anybody that I'm ethno-nationalist when it comes to Europe. Let's see here. Do I know any effective supplements or foods to help with joint pain? High vitamin C based foods are good for your cartilage, and they're good for you know, collagen as well production. They're good for you know, joint health as well. So eating foods rich in vitamin C can help with fats. Eating a healthy fat-filled diet, not high fat, but healthy fats diet, can help with skin, hair health, joint health, and things like that. Cellular health. And of course, like, there are supplements, for instance, like Cissus quadrangularis, that has been demonstrated to improve bone healing and soft tissue healing more than once over, many times over. And yeah, I mean, those are some options that I think that you could try. Cissus is like, I love Cissus. As everybody who watches this channel for any period of time probably knows, I'm a big proponent of Cissus quadrangularis. Let's see here. Somebody is saying vegans are part of the globalist NWO. Yeah. Where in the definition of veganism does it say that you have to be a leftist, open border cuck to be a vegan? Veganism simply says you don't use animal products or consume animal parts. It's a pretty simplistic definition. Nowhere does it have any implication or ties to fucking politics. And this is an example of retarded right-wing views, just the same as there's retarded left-wing views. There are idiots on both sides of the fucking spectrum. So, it's bullshit. It's like, stop inventing shit that isn't there. Just because there's a lot of fucking leftists in the vegan movement doesn't mean that veganism is inherently leftist. Where would you live if you could choose any place out in the Amazon or in the city? I'm getting sick and tired of the cities. I actually want to get out of cities altogether as soon as I possibly can. They just feel incredibly unnatural, too crowded, too cramped. There's too many taxes. I want to. If I was to live in a place, I mean, there's so many places I'd like to live, but if I would live in a place, I'd want to live in a place that's got, I can see the stars at night. That I'm not paying a shitload of taxes, and funding a shitload of welfare programs. A place that's not going to be so highly crowded that when you happen to need public transport, you're smashed against everybody else and just invading everyone's personal space. A place that's a little bit quieter, slower, and just has that kind of a feel. I guess more of a small town, even suburban, light suburban feel to it, I guess is the best way to describe, So I would want to avoid places like New York, California, London, Boston, Paris, those kinds of places. Just they don't appeal to me anymore. And that's weird coming from a New Yorker, but even my opinions of New York have changed so much. Svarage followers say vegan food ages you rapidly, and that's so stupid. Why do they think it? They say it? Somebody can say something ages you rapidly, but if you can't give a scientific explanation as to why you have that feeling, it's really invalid in my opinion. For every haggard-looking vegan, and I'm just going to be real here. This is going to sound like a personal attack, but Durian Ryder looks terrible. Okay. Harley looks terrible. I don't think he eats enough fat, and fat is important to skin and hair health. Second of all, look, Harley and I are about the same fucking age, and look at him. He doesn't eat enough fat. He's constantly in the sun. There could be a genetic component. To blame that, for instance, on veganism is retarded. Vegan foods, a lot of them are rich in antioxidants, which actually fight aging, so it's absurd to say that a vegan diet is prone to faster aging. This Farage guy is an idiot. He's a fucking idiot. Anyway, yeah, somebody's saying my battery dies in 20 minutes. Actually, it's going to be probably more like, I actually don't even know. My computer's not telling me what the fucking battery life is right now, but it hasn't gone dark, so I don't care. Is D3 better than D2? Yeah, it is. It is. Your body can use D3 more than D2, but it can convert D2 to D3. It's not an efficient process, but it can be done. And like I said, you can get D3 from vegan foods. You can get it in fortified vegan foods. You can also get D3 from taking an algae, not algae, a lichen-based supplement, like the one that I have here that I showed you guys before. This Doctor's Best, and you can get it in Diva as well. Diva makes it. I think Nordic Naturals makes one too. But this is done with VitaShine, which is that like the brand. I guess it's the product name for lichen, the lichen product. So it's a lichen-based D3. for vegans. And it's not all that expensive. I think I paid like $6 for that. A bottle lasts me a month, you know, for $6 a month, not bad. You know, so I do throw that in. Let's see here. Moving along. Is there a general indication you would suggest for setting up your macros, or is it better to experiment? Generally speaking, for macros, calories, it's really based on your maintenance. If you're trying to lose fat, drop by 20%. If you're trying to gain weight, increase by 10 to 20%. If you want to lose fat a little faster, I don't recommend this, drop by 40% below maintenance, but increase your protein significantly to like 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. Now, protein recommendations can range between 1.2 to 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. I recommend around 1 gram per pound for vegans. Fat, don't let it go below about 20% of your maintenance calorie needs. And carbohydrates, you can put the rest of calories towards carbs. But typically lifters find they do best energy-wise, lifting-wise, at 300 grams of or about 300 grams of carbohydrates, around that about a day. Or I guess actually it's more like 3 grams per pound or something like that, 3 grams per kilogram. I forgot the actual figure for it, but I just do it based on what's left, really. After I calculate necessary fat and necessary protein, I typically do based on what's left. Anywho, let's see here. If you feel, but he's saying he feels better in high fat. If you feel better in high fat diet, go for it. You know, the range for fat intake is like 20 to 35%. So you have a wide range to play with for health and still not have heart problems from it. Somebody says that I'm a Satanist. This guy is a total freaking troll. Somebody says I'm a Satanist. First of all, that would require me to believe in Satan. I'm agnostic. I don't believe or disbelieve in Christ and God or any of that. I'm agnostic. I remain agnostic in the subject because there's no evidence. So if there's no evidence for God, there's no evidence for Satan either. So how can I be a Satanist this is just ridiculous. This is another problem with the far right, and that I don't connect with, is the high amount of religiosity. It's not because I'm anti-religion. I just don't see any factual. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. Cory, are there any possible negatives to taking a multivitamin? If you eat lots of nutritious food along with it, could you overdose? Yes, you could. You could overdose on calcium, which can cause heart problems. You can overdose on your fat-soluble vitamins, which add certain amounts. Like vitamin D, for instance, is fat-soluble, but I think you need like 50,000 IUs a day or something for a period of 3 weeks to begin seeing a problem. So that's an absurd amount of D3. So I really wouldn't worry about some of them to a degree, but yes, some things like calcium, for instance, have been shown. High iron, if you have a problem with expelling iron from your body, it is a genetic component there. These are things that can cause you toxicity. Yeah, there's zinc toxicity, especially in the minerals and the fat-soluble vitamins. There's a lot of toxicity risk. So just bear that in mind. The same thing with the metals too. You know, copper, things like that. You know, you could get a toxic response by having too much. And copper, believe it or not, is high in the vegan diet. You can get it pretty easily from vegan foods. So I would recommend multivitamins for folks who are on very restrictive diets. So if you're dieting and your calories are lower, perhaps consider a multi. If you're ketogenic and you're not able to get a lot of fresh fruits and such and colorful vegetables, consider a multi. Use it for when there's a specific call for it. You know, don't just throw it in to throw it in. Somebody says, go to New Jersey then. Jersey. I don't even like Jersey either. Oh, there's so many states I'd rather have. I don't know. There's a lot of states out there for me to consider, all the way from the Midwest to the Northeast. I don't think I'd ever consider living in the Northwest or the West Coast in general, because there's a lot of fucking hippies and leftists out there, and I'm just not going to get along with that. mentality. So I'd probably move to a more libertarian, red-based state if I did. I grew up in Texas, so I don't really have any interest in going back to Texas because I didn't like the weather down there. I prefer colder temperatures and more moderate summers, although New York has nasty, nasty summers. But you know, a place like Iceland would be awesome to live. You know, like Reykjavik, for instance, would be a great place to live weather-wise. I love that kind of weather. Anywho, yeah, Boston is tiny as fuck compared to New York. It's like a minute big compared to New York. This fucking guy. I'm removing that fucking secular wolf guy because he's just being a fucking troll. He's making comments that are factually incorrect about Tara now, and I'm not going to tolerate that shit. Yes, Durian Ryder's high sugar, low fat diet is seriously bad. Yeah, it is. And high sugar, that can age you. And I don't mean from fruit. I mean from just fucking eating sugar and drinking sugary Sprite and crap like that. That has been shown to cause high cellular turnover and cause aging. So it's not good. Free Animal says, I skipped this question twice. What the fuck? Repeat the question. There's been so many goddamned... no, I'm not this exact same age as Durian Ryder, Jack Green. Durian Ryder is 40. I'm close. We're not that far apart in age, but yet he looks like he could be my dad. You know? No, I don't. I feel like this is a rag session now on Durian Ryder. Yeah, ask the question again, Free Animals. I'm probably missing a lot of questions because I'm trying to juggle these myself, you know? And there's a lot of questions coming in. Yeah, so I'm going to put this user in timeout because this guy's being a dick. I'm going to hide this user on my channel as well. Fucking asshole. Anywho, nutritional yeast. Oh, now it's not letting me view my fucking... that's really annoying. There we go. What's my view on the JQ, the Jewish question? I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really need to look more into this topic. It's not exactly been a priority of mine. I do recognize that there's a lot of Jews in high levels of power positions like banking, in law, finance, as banking, at government, media, etc. Positions that could give a distinct level of control over the population. But I would need to research to see if there really is, if it's just conspiracy theory, if they're trying to control the world, destroy everything, or if it's correlation or what, you know. I don't know enough because first of all, it's definitely not all Jews that are doing that. You know, I've known a lot of Jews that are not Zionistic at all. But so I'm kind of like agnostic on the JQ at the moment. There's things I recognize as factually correct, but there's a lot that I would need to research and fact check before I jump in and say, oh yeah, the JQ is a thing. Then again, I guess that's why it's called a Jewish question, because it's a question. It's not necessarily a fact. It's a question. But yeah, and it's probably gonna piss a lot of people who are watching this off. But I'm not gonna jump onto a bandwagon without reading up on it, and it just isn't a priority of mine right now. I have other things that are very pressing in my life at the moment that are taking a precedence over that sort of thing. Anyway, have I ever had any issues with my skin, such as dermatitis, eczema, when it comes to high fat and protein intake? No, I've never had that problem. The only skin condition I've ever had, and I've had it a couple times, once when I was a kid, once a few years back, is I had impetigo. Now, amongst kids, it's very common to get that because of just how filthy the environments are the kids playing. But I got the impetigo from one of two places back in like 2013. Either the gym, it was on my head, so I either got it from laying on a dirty bench in the gym, or from a guy that was cutting my hair at a hair shop, a hair cutter's hairstylist that might not have washed his hands very well or something, because it was in that region, it was in my scalp. But beyond that, I don't really get skin conditions. Occasionally I get a pimple or a zit, but it's like, and it's always right here, it looks like a fucking horn. But beyond that, yeah, I don't really get a lot of I don't really have a problem with skin problems. Also, is soy protein bad for testosterone? I keep hearing mixed reviews, not sure what to believe. Doug, check out my responses to Paul Joseph Watson. That is my most comprehensive soy video to date, both of them, the part 1 and the part 2. The part one, I think, is called Paul Joseph Watson's an Idiot, and the part two is called something like Paul Joseph Watson's Still Wrong, But. Check those two out. They have tons of scientific references. They review big meta-analysis, all human research, not rodent studies, because a lot of the stuff people say about testosterone is based on rodent studies. And there's a difference in metabolism there, isoflavometabolism. So check those things out. Anyway, let's see here. So yeah, Doug, check those out. He's still responding to free animals here. I eat a lot of good fats, and my cholesterol is 129 or something like that. You know, nut butters, avocados, flaxseeds, and sesame seeds. Those are really good. Those are really good fats. Really good fat sources. Yeah. Vikings for National asked if I'm dating Cory McCarthy. Yes, I am. We've been together for a very long time. Move here to Alaska. I've heard Alaska's a really good place to live. You know what? That's my kind of place, though. It's remote. It's not that crowded. You can see the stars at night. It might be a consideration, definitely. It's a big move for me because I'm going from the East Coast out there, but it would be a consideration. Definitely one of many considerations that I could have. Anyway, I'm going to pick a couple more questions at random. I'm just going to zap down real quick to find some, and then I'm going to call it a day with this. Let's see here. Just a lot of stuff come about Jews now. Somebody says that I banned Shekelmaster and Jerry Ward. No, I didn't ban them, but I guess they just fucked off because they got tired of trolling me and I wasn't responding. How to deal with, okay, this is a good question. How to deal with depression. My best advice is find things that motivate you. Lifting weights is really good because of the chemical changes in your brain that can really help. But you have to find purpose in your life. You have to believe that you have value. That's a really big one for me. This is from my own personal experience. You have to believe that you have value, find purpose in your life, try to see things from a brighter perspective. Like, for instance, if you think down about yourself or the situations in one way, try to think of where there might be positives there. It's really hard, but you can do it. You can do it. I've done it. You know, that goes it takes time, okay? And you might need medication. Maybe some people it's harder than it is for others. And for me, I did it without medication, but it probably took a good 5-6 years to really get myself back on my feet. From that point in my life, and this is a long time ago, but it can be done. You know, it can be done. And being active really fucking helps. Having good friends, not friends who make you feel worse, really fucking helps. Am I reading any books at the moment? I've been reading through Dave Ramsey's books about money making and personal finance and how to, like, you know, plan for the future and things like that, because I think that's something that everybody can learn to do a little better. Even if you think you have your finances down, you can always take advice and tips from others who are successful in that realm. And that's one of the books I'm looking at currently. A lot of fitness books I read. I have Brad Schoenfeld's books. Those are some of the ones at the moment that I have laying aside to read. I have a book on I have a book laying next to my desk on those nightmares where you sleep paralysis. I have a book on sleep paralysis, not because I have sleep paralysis, but because it's a very creepy topic. And some of these accounts, these stories of sleep paralysis are fucking creepy. Anyway, yeah. His name is Rebirth, it looks like. Says he takes 50 milligrams of zinc every other day, and he gets an instant boost in libido, and semen is thicker and more volume. It has been shown, especially if you already have a deficiency in zinc, it has been shown to do both those things, yes. Vikings asked if I'm against nutritional value from red meat. I don't eat meat as a vegan, but I'm not going to say it doesn't have fat and protein that you can get from it, okay? I'm not the kind of person that's going to say that there's no nutritional value to these things, but there's also a lot of things that are harmful. Like, that does increase your risk for certain cancers. Like, for instance, the heme iron has been linked to colorectal cancer. That's found in red meat, for instance, and even processed meats has been linked to colorectal cancer. And like, they find that vegans have lower rates of these cancers as well. So it's not that I'm denying that there is some nutritional property to animal products. I'm also saying there is inherently a bad side too, and that as a vegan, I don't agree with eating them. Okay. I don't know why Free Animals say I'm avoiding these questions, but these things are moving so quick that I guess I'm just not seeing them. Anyway, at this point in time, I'm going to just cut off this because this computer is going to can out now, and I'm going to get the charger. So thank you guys for tuning in. There will be another one in a couple of weeks, another Q&A on the 18th. And if you guys haven't checked out my new ebook, it's down below. It's actually really affordable. We're bitching about how expensive the other one was, which is a bigger book. This one is a lot more affordable and a bit more concise, and it's more geared towards your big lifts, getting strong on your big lifts. Anyway, check out my description. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I'll see you guys in the next Q&A. Take care. Thanks for tuning in.